All right, in this lesson, 4.02 arithmetic sequences, we have two types of formulas. We have the explicit formula, and that formula is a sub n equal a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. In order to use this formula, you have to know what a sub 1 is equal to, what n is equal to, and what d is equal to. We also have the recursive formula, and the recursive formula is a formula that is using the previous term to find the next term. In order to use this, we have to know what d is in order to write this formula. All right, what is the recursive rule for the sequence negative 2.7, negative 8.3, negative 13.9, and so on? So we have to know the rule for the recursive formula, and the rule is a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus d. In order to write this formula, there are two pieces of information that we need to know. We need to know what d is, and d is always going to be found by taking the second term, subtracting the first term. And in this case, that's going to be negative 8.3 minus negative 2.7. And when I simplify that, I get 5.6, negative 5.6. So the first thing I can do is I can take my formula and I'm going to replace d. When you write your recursive formula, not only do you replace d, but you also state the value of a sub 1. And in this particular sequence, my value for a sub 1, the first term, is negative 2.7. So this is the answer that you would have for the recursive sequence, the recursive formula. You find d, replace d in the formula, and then state what a sub 1 is equal to. All right, on this one, it asks for the explicit rule for the sequence. We have to know which formula that is, and the explicit rule is the formula a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. In order to write that rule, I have to know three things. I have to know what a sub 1 is, and a sub 1 is going to be the first term, which is 14.5. I have to know what d is, and d in this particular case is going to be the second term minus the first term, and that's going to be 11.75. 11 minus 14.5, and that is going to equal negative 3.5. So my difference is negative 3.5. When I'm writing this formula, if we were finding a specific term, we would have to know what n is. But because we're writing the rule, we do not have to know what n is equal to. So I'm going to replace in my formula a sub 1, which is 14.5, plus n minus 1 times d, which is negative 3.5. You will not see an answer written in that format. It will be in simplified form. And to simplify this, that means that I am going to perform this distributive property that is shown at the end of the formula. So a sub n It's going to be 14.5. I'm going to distribute minus 3.5 times n, and then negative 1 times negative 3.5 is plus 3.5. I am then going to combine like terms, and I'm going to put my n first and combine like terms to get plus 18. Notice that the number times n is going to always be the difference in this particular sequence. Okay, it will be the difference in the sequence. Okay, this example, you're given an explicit rule, and they want us to write the recursive rule. All right, so I am given this information. I'm given a sub n is equal to negative 2n plus 7. I want to write the recursive rule. And the recursive rule, my formula is a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 times or plus d. And I have to know the value of a sub 1. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I have to find d in this particular sequence. Remember from the previous slide that if you were given a rule, an explicit rule, the number in front of the variable n is always going to be the difference. Okay, so that means in this particular problem that d has a value of negative 2. Now, I also have to know what a sub 1 is. That means to find a sub 1, I'm going to take my explicit rule and I'm going to replace n with 1. So a sub 1 would be equal to negative 2 times 1 plus 7, which would be equal to 5. Now that I know the difference in what a sub 1 is, I can now write my formula. My formula is going to be a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus my d value, and because d is negative, that's going to be minus 2. And then below that, I'm going to state that a sub 1 has a value of 5. All right, when I look at this problem and I see all of these words, I think, wow, this one's going to be hard, but it's just an arithmetic sequence. A supermarket is selling cereal. In week 1, they sell 20 boxes. In week 2, they sell 53 boxes. And in week 3, they sell 86 boxes. We're asked to find the explicit rule for this arithmetic sequence. So my explicit rule, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. I have to know what a sub 1 is, and I do. A sub 1 is 20, and I need to be able to find d. D is going to be that second term minus the first, which is going to be 53 minus 20, and that is going to equal 33. So to write my explicit rule, I'm going to have a sub n is equal to a sub 1, which is the first term 20, plus n minus 1 times d, which is 33. Okay, my answer is not going to be written in this form. It has to be in simplified form, which means I'm doing this distributive property. And when I do that, I'm going to get a sub n is equal to 20 plus 33n minus 33. I combine my like terms, and I have a sub n is equal to 33n minus 13 as my answer.